When Hitler invaded Poland in 1939, no experiments were happening. Starting with the taking of a small Polish village, however, that would change. In 1940, there was an experiment lasting 5 days in duration, known as the ndschau effect. It tested the human drive to live, if tempted with gluttony and delicacies. The scientist, respectively named, was killed by a colleague shortly following the experiments, but he audio-logged each day. Reasons unknown. Following are the original tapes, translated by the Allies as evidence to the Nuremberg trials. Warning: the following contains graphic content. Day 1.
This is Dr. Klaus Gunschau. I am accompanied by my colleagues Dr. Victor Rupertgrens and Josef Weinmann. Today is the start of a 5-day experiment to see if gluttony will preside over self-dignity. We have 4 subjects: 2 large Polish men, a pregnant woman who is due in 3 days, and a daughter of one of the men, age 4. We fed them roasted boar for dinner, and gave the men Germany's finest wine. The subjects reacted as expected, overjoyed and surprised. Little do these humans, if that's even what they really are, know they will be faced with nightmarish moral dilemmas.
Day 2.
All 4 subjects were here this morning. They were served buttermilk waffles for breakfast, with orange juice and milk to accompany. Bacon, eggs, and sausage were also served. It was 1:30 p.m. Central German time when both of the male subjects were given their first task. They were each given a knife. Their goal was to fight to the death. Should they have refused, they would both be shot. Should they have terminated any of the other subjects, they would be tortured and then shot. As expected, they cooperated. Ironically, it occurred, the father of the girl lost. The woman and the girl were both crying during, so we had to turn the microphones off. The man's body was hauled away by the guards. The remaining 3 ate roast stew for dinner. Let's just say there was an extra ingredient.
Day 3.
Subjects woke up this morning. Each were given cheese croissants with butter to dip in. Although considered, no drugs were injected in the male throughout the night. Given this is a purely mental experiment, no variables allowed. The male's test was administered at 3:35 p.m. Central German time. A doctor on call entered the room and assisted the man in giving a premature C-section. The man, thinking her water broke, complied. The doctor left a bag on the table after birth. We then instructed him in private to extract the infant's heart and consume it. Considering the alternative, he agreed, per our forceful persuasion. Entering the room, he opened the bag, not revealing the contents to the mother. Inside, he found a wide variety of surgical tools. After what appeared to be a prayer, he took the child and struck it in the chest. Accordingly, it died instantly. He then cut open its chest and pulled out its heart, still beating. He then stuffed it in his mouth whole, chewing and crying as the baby continued to sputter blood post-mortem. We had guards remove the infant's torso as the man tearfully explained to the distraught mother. From a personal standpoint, I don't see what all the ruckus was about. Little pig had it coming.
Day 4.
3 subjects remained. The mother having survived thanks to an emergency operation after the man's trial, she was physically intact but mentally altered. She started mumbling to herself, and showed no emotion whatsoever. Electroshock therapy was considered, but deemed unnecessary. Subjects were served cheddarwurst. At this point, the cuisine was the only thing keeping them going. The female was given her first and final tasks. She agreed without retort, which was unusual. First, we had her incise the word slut onto her breasts. Then, providing proper tools, we asked her to cut up her own feces and ingest it. I'll admit we had a little fun during our experimentation. It is noted that she did so without showing pain or disgust. Most intriguing. We then had the male do a trial for the day. He was to take the frozen corpse of the infant and beat her to death with it. Ruefully agreeing he did the job, the woman not even twitching. The little girl, as predicted, was beside herself. Something unexpected happened after the test, though. The man comforted the remaining girl, explained the best he could the confinements of the situation, which will be the irony of tomorrow's test. 2 subjects remain. Side note: over the course of the experiment, this male has shouldered the mental workload, yet he remains unaffected. Perhaps he emotionally detached himself from the situation entirely. Staff note: Dr. Uber Grintz attempted to murder a guard today, so in coordination with protocol, I shot him. Dr. Wehrmine remains firmly committed.
Day 5.
Neither subject slept. Distraught by the events preceding, they held each other, hoping to live. They both were treated to France's finest crepes for their final meal. The male was given his final task, in exchange for falsely promised liberation, as this was the only way we could get him to do anything. He was to perform sexual intercourse with the girl, in all orifices. Agreeing, this time with no apparent regret, he went in and committed the act, leaving her barely alive. We then provided him with a hacksaw, and then told him to saw her in half, starting with the legs. He did so, not reacting to the girl's screams, and then he finally went mad. Taking the hacksaw, he cut his head in half the entire way. This is almost medically impossible to commit, assuming his brain would give out before he could finish.
Concluding statement.
It seems that as a result of broken promises, that it only takes the followed promise of survival to drive these murderous animals to anything. This confirms both mine and the Fuhrer's thoughts. Under controlled circumstances, man will eat his own.